Welcome to a brief workshop on using the VoiceThread tool that is integrated into St. Leo University's Learning Studio online class system. At the end of this workshop, you'll be able to access and create VoiceThreads inside your Learning Studio classroom, and you will also be able to share VoiceThreads with your students. Now, pause this video for about 10 seconds and think about how you would answer the question that you see on screen. In your online class, what is the aspect of discussion board activities that you like the most? Now, pause this video for another 10 seconds and think about how you would answer the question that you see on screen. In your online class, what is the aspect of discussion board activities that you dislike the most? What is VoiceThread? It's an interactive multimedia tool that allows users to communicate with each other by commenting around images, documents, and videos. Users can leave comments by using text, phone, microphone, video, or an audio file upload. VoiceThread has two distinct advantages for classrooms. Number one, VoiceThread is asynchronous. That means that users can work on and enjoy VoiceThread presentations at any time, even if their partners are sleeping a million miles away. Number two, VoiceThread is engaging. Let's face it, sometimes working with partners or digital pen pals can be pretty boring. After all, email and discussion boards are nothing more than written text. VoiceThread gives users something interesting to talk about, pictures. What's more, being able to actually hear one another makes digital communication through VoiceThread much more personal. We're going to take a look at a learning activity that features a medical case study related to radiology. The instructor here has chosen to use a VoiceThread instead of a discussion board. Now, pause the video, open a new internet browser tab, and go to www.j.mp/itvt2 to load the example VoiceThread. You might also just continue with this video and choose to return later to get the address. Once the VoiceThread loads, like the example on the screen, I want you to click the play button in order to start playing the comments. If it doesn't automatically start playing, while they are playing, I want you to listen and look at the bubbles that pop up along the outside. Some of these bubbles indicate audio playing, and some of them will contain typed text that you will have to read. For context, the instructor has already given students a hypothetical patient named Fred. He appears in the corner wearing that snappy alpine outfit. And he now is visiting the emergency room. Let's listen to the instructor preface the situation, and then listen and read the students' comments. Remember, click the play button once it loads if it doesn't play automatically. Compare the friendlier, humanizing qualities of this student introduction VoiceThread compared with a text-only discussion board. Notice the avatars with profile photos. In the example that you watched earlier, did you notice anything about the physical arrangement of the avatars representing the students, their comments, and the lesson topic? And what about the instructor relationship? It's much easier to foster understanding of visual concepts. For instance, a forensics lesson could use this simulated crime scene slide, and then students could analyze it and use the Doodle comment tool to draw over top of the slide while narrating their doodling with audio. They can demonstrate their thinking through both visual means, in addition to the metacognitive activity of talking through their thought process. At one point or another, everyone here has probably misinterpreted the subtext of an email that you've received, am I right? It's bound to happen because typed email lacks any sort of conversational cues. Similarly, many nuances are discarded whenever learners are forced to type their thinking in a text-only discussion board. In a VoiceThread, all of those layers of meaning can be restored and used to enrich the discussion. As an online instructor, one of my perennial struggles is working with the widely varying writing ability levels. Since almost all assignments in our online classes are written assignments, a student's performance will depend heavily upon his or her writing ability. But in a VoiceThread, Those without advanced writing abilities can finally use other tools to prove that they have met the learning outcomes. The VoiceThread format shines a brighter spotlight onto individual students' contributions to the overall discussion. Since students know that their little avatar will literally take the stage in the discussion, they will be more likely to produce higher quality evidence of their thinking. If students use personal avatars, their classmates are literally staring at them as they contribute to the discussion. We know that our online classes have the text discussion boards. They are at one end of the spectrum of student engagement. Let's say the low end. At the opposite end of the engagement spectrum, there's our live web conferencing system, ClassLive Pro, powered by Blackboard Collaborate, which allows us to hold real-time online meetings with audio, video, chat, whiteboard, and a partridge in a pear tree. VoiceThread is a hybrid. It exists somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, nestled between the flat, asynchronous discussion board and the highly dynamic synchronous web conferencing. It incorporates the highly engaging qualities of the voice and visual nature of the web conferencing end of the spectrum, and blends that with the convenient asynchronous timing of the discussion board end of the spectrum. Hopefully, you've seen St. Leo University's Statement of Expected Pedagogy from Academic Affairs, which contains some of the essentials for St. Leo instructors. VoiceThread is aligned with several of those expectations. It's a way of delivering content through different modalities. If planned carefully, it fosters critical thinking, since students must more carefully plan out their responses. The visual nature of VoiceThread lends itself easily to the careful analysis of course material. And lastly, audio comments can enrich your instructor feedback with emphasis, clarity, and a more caring human touch. Furthermore, the tools make it easy for students to leave their own clear, caring feedback. Here's a handy flowchart for thinking about the planning of a VoiceThread activity. You might want to pause the video now to take a careful look at it. Is VoiceThread the right tool for the job? Is your first question. Do you wish to have collaboration and critical thinking? The topic that you select must promote conversation, and it must be able to be conveyed through available images or documents. Topics with emotional impact tend to lend themselves well here. You might want to create a storyboard in PowerPoint to flesh out all of your ideas before even touching VoiceThread, or use an existing PowerPoint slideshow and then build on top of it. In any case, you'll need to have some kind of visuals or media around which your VoiceThread discussion will gather. These can be documents, images, slideshows, and other types of media. Lastly, be sure to test your hardware, like your microphone and webcam, prior to your lesson. You might also wish to invite guests from the field to add their own comments to your VoiceThread. This is a fairly easy way of inviting outside professionals, since you can share your VoiceThread outside of the classroom via a hyperlink. Here's a close look at the VoiceThread interface. You may wish to pause this slide to more carefully read about all of the features. In general, notice that viewing controls are on the bottom and comments are along the side. The area in the center is your slide that contains the visual image or document. Again, here's a close look at the VoiceThread interface. And again, you may wish to pause this slide to carefully read about all of the navigational features. In general, notice that the commenting tools are in a semi-transparent bubble near the bottom center of the slide. VoiceThread menus and other options are along the top. And once more, we're taking a very close look at the VoiceThread commenting interface. And again, you may wish to pause this slide to more carefully read about all of the features of the commenting interface. Notice the different types of commenting available after you click the plus comment bubble at the bottom. You can type text comments, record audio comments with your telephone or microphone. You can also use your webcam to record a comment with both video and audio. You can also upload audio files that you've already recorded. In many of these options, you're given the ability to doodle on your screen with a pencil in order to highlight visual aspects of the slide while you're talking. In this example, the instructor is focusing on the analysis higher order thinking skill using a piece of art. Students are able to doodle over the image as they talk through their analysis, metacognition. In this example, the instructor is having students analyze a poem. Remember that, in order to make VoiceThread an effective learning tool, you must have content that fosters discussion or debate. In this example, the instructor has chosen a political cartoon from the Kaggle site, linked from our VoiceThread resources site, which you'll see later, that compels them to think about and react to the topic. In this case, Putin's management of the Sochi Winter Olympics. In this case, it's not necessarily the technology that is fostering discussion, but rather the content planned by the instructor. In this example, an information technology instructor has selected a purposefully convoluted diagram of a home network and tasked the class with evaluation of its design. They must apply what they have learned in the textbook and module in order to comment on the diagram. Again, they can doodle on the diagram as they describe their thoughts. Now, follow the on-screen instructions to load a VoiceThread that contains an example from instructor Michelle Pacansky-Brock, who uses VoiceThread in her online university art classes. Once it loads, click the play button below the slide. You will listen first to Michelle's preface. Then, it will continue playing the actual student comments. Listen carefully and think about this sort of comment in comparison with the typical comment you would read on a text discussion board. Return to this video after about 4 minutes to continue our training. Now, pause this video and follow the on-screen instructions, or you may wish to continue and return here later. This instructor uses a graphic related to the topic of global warming and flood prevention in Manhattan through the proposed construction of levees around the city's vulnerable areas. To better organize the discussion into a debate, the instructor used one slide for students who wanted to support the levee idea, and a second slide where students against the levee idea would leave their comments. It's important that the instructor carefully consider the organization of the slides, since they will form the structure for all of the comments. Students can also use VoiceThread to post their own slides, on which they can then post self-reflective or self-assessing comments. Furthermore, their classmates can also reflect on their peers' work. In this example, a student has taken a business plan PowerPoint that he prepared for another assignment, uploaded the slides to a VoiceThread, and then opened up the VoiceThread for comments. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how you can access VoiceThread in Learning Studio, St. Leo University's online class system, as well as create a new VoiceThread. And finally, how to share VoiceThreads with your students. First, you'll need to find out where VoiceThread is located in your online class. Be sure that you're looking at the Course tab above the navigation menu. VoiceThread will be located in one of two places in your online class, depending upon how your class was configured. First, check under the Resources module by clicking it, and looking for the VoiceThread tool beneath it. If you don't see it under the Resources module, scroll back to the top of the navigation menu and look underneath the Course Home module for the VoiceThread tool. If you don't find it in either of those locations, contact the Learning Design team at 352-588-7277 and leave a message with your full name, your course code, the term, and your request to have VoiceThread added to your online classroom. Once you've found it in your classroom, click the VoiceThread tool in the navigation menu. A page will load with some helpful information and hyperlinks. Click the large VT logo circle to use the tool. Your VoiceThread dashboard will load inside the course. You will see your existing voice threads that you've created in this class section displayed on the dashboard. Notice that you're only viewing voice threads that are connected to this particular class section. You can remove that filter in order to view all of your other voice threads. You can use the menu button in the upper left to access other VoiceThread functions. If VoiceThread seems too tightly squeezed whenever viewing it wrapped inside your online classroom, use the Open in New Tab link at the top in order to launch it in a new tab with a lot more room to work. Let's create a new VoiceThread. Click the Add Your Own button on the right. You have two options. You can select an existing VoiceThread that you've already created, or you can create a brand new VoiceThread. Let's click the Create a New VoiceThread button to start from scratch. Now we have to add our visuals or documents. Click the Add Media button. You have 5 ways to add media to your VoiceThread. Media can include, but is not limited to, PowerPoints, PDF documents, image files, movies, and more. You can upload files from your computer. You can select from different media services. You can capture a webcam photo. You can capture a webcam video. You can add media from an existing online URL. I have a PowerPoint slideshow on my computer, so I'm going to click the My Computer option. You will need to browse and select the slideshow or other file on your computer, and it will begin the upload process, which inserts your slides or pages into the VoiceThread slides. You will be asked to complete some information about the VoiceThread that you're creating. Provide a title for the VoiceThread. Click the Playback Options tab to adjust various settings related to how your VoiceThread displays and permissions for commenting. Click the Save button when you're finished configuring the settings. Once the media has finished uploading, you will be taken to the editing screen. Notice the workflow numbered for you at the top. The slides of your VoiceThread are displayed in a thumbnail view. Click and drag slides to reorder them. You can click the Add Media button at the top to add more slides, documents, images, and so forth. Notice the title displayed near the top. Click the Edit option to adjust it. Click the Options button to adjust various settings. To begin adding comments to the slideshow, click the Comment option at the top. The VoiceThread will display, and you will use the normal commenting bubble to add your comments. In the example that you see on screen, I am adding an audio comment with my microphone and doodling by using the pencil tool while I talk. You are able to preview each comment, and then you can choose to re-record it or save it. Once you're done editing and adding initial comments, click the Share and Return to Course button at the top. This saves your VoiceThread and shares it with the current class. People enrolled in the current class who click on the VoiceThread tool will be able to view the VoiceThread now. Notice the VoiceThread that we just created was added to the dashboard. You can hover your cursor over the VoiceThread thumbnail in order to play it or perform other functions. Since the students enrolled in your class do not receive any kind of alert or notification that you've shared a new VoiceThread with them automatically, you will need to notify them in some fashion. I highly recommend sharing a specific link or embedding the specific VoiceThread in an announcement or email to call their attention to it. Otherwise, they probably won't know to go to check the VoiceThread dashboard and won't see your new VoiceThread. So now I'm going to share my new VoiceThread with my students. First, I hover over the VoiceThread and click the Share icon. A pop-up appears with the Secure Sharing options open. While you can use this to securely share VoiceThreads by selecting from lists of classes, it's rather annoying, and I don't suggest sharing this way. Instead, I recommend clicking the Basic tab at the top of the Sharing pop-up. On the Basic tab, you'll see a simpler sharing interface. You have 3 ways of sharing your VoiceThread, which are available on the left. The first way is a hyperlink to the VoiceThread. Here is a finished example of a VoiceThread shared with the link option in an announcement. Notice the blue clickable hyperlink, which students will click and which will launch a new tab with the VoiceThread open in it. This is probably the safest option, since the VoiceThread will load in a new tab with lots of space for the student, and your online course will remain open in a separate tab. Before copying the link, adjust the permissions. If you wish students to use the VoiceThread as a discussion, you'll need to leave both boxes checked. Click the Copy Link button to copy the hyperlink that you see in the pop-up to your computer's clipboard. I would suggest having a document ready on your computer in order to paste the hyperlink that you just copied. The other option for sharing your VoiceThread is the Embed option. Here is an example of a VoiceThread embedded into an announcement. Notice that it appears directly inside of the announcement and allows students to interact with it directly. This can be problematic depending on the size of your students' device screens, but it does have a benefit of not having to flip between your course and a separate VoiceThread tab. On the Embed option, you can make several adjustments. Notice the permissions checkboxes again. Leave both checked or students will not be able to use the VoiceThread for discussion. You can adjust the size and aspect ratio of your VoiceThread whenever it's displayed. Click the Copy Embed Code button to copy the code that you see in the gray box to your computer's clipboard. Again, I would suggest having a document ready on your computer in order to paste the embed that you just copied. Notice that there is also a Post option. This provides quick links to share the VoiceThread on Facebook and Twitter. Now that we've got the hyperlink and embed code to share with our students, let's return to our course by clicking the Course Home module at the top of the navigation menu. In order to add an announcement, I need to click the Author Mode tab at the top. Next, I click the Add Announcement link. First, I type a brief but descriptive title for my announcement. Next, I adjust the start and end dates for my announcement. Then, I begin typing some explanatory text to preface my VoiceThread and give students explicit instructions so that they know what to do with the VoiceThread. At the end of the line, I press the Enter key to add a new blank line. First, I'm going to embed the VoiceThread directly in the announcement so that students can see and interact with it directly inside of the announcement. I click the HTML mode button at the bottom of the text area to switch to HTML mode. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language and is the coding language used to write web pages that are displayed in browsers. Whenever you're writing things in Learning Studio in the text editor, you're normally in design mode, which automatically creates the HTML for you without you knowing it. Now we need to switch to HTML mode since we have some raw HTML code that we need to insert. I switch back to my document where I put the hyperlink and embed code for my VoiceThread. I select the whole embed code and copy it by pressing Ctrl-C or Command-C or using the copy button. I switch back to my announcement in HTML mode. I click to place my cursor on the blank line, and I paste the embed code by pressing Ctrl-V or Command-V on my keyboard. You'll notice the embed code pastes into the text area. I click the Design button to return to normal design mode. You will notice that the VoiceThread loads directly in the announcement. It may not work correctly while you're still editing the announcement. Next, I'm going to insert the hyperlink to the VoiceThread above the embedded version, just in case my students wish to open it in a new tab. I insert a blank line after my text. I switch back to my document containing my hyperlink and embed code that I copied earlier. I select the entire link and copy it by pressing Ctrl-C or Command-C on my keyboard. I return to the announcement, and with my cursor placed on the blank line, I click the Insert Link button on the toolbar. In the Add a Link pop-up window, I select the Link to a Website option. Then I click the Continue button. I type brief but descriptive text to display in the first box. This will be the text that the student clicks to view the VoiceThread. I click to place my cursor in the second website address text box, and I paste the link by pressing Ctrl-V or Command-V on my keyboard. I click the Add Link button. And the link is added to my announcement. The link will not be clickable while you're editing the announcement. Click the Preview Mode button to preview your announcement. When you're satisfied with your announcement, click the Add Announcement button to finish. Once your announcement is scheduled to start, it will appear as a normal announcement. Students will simply read it like any other announcement by clicking on its title to expand it. Notice that you and your students can interact with it directly inside the announcement if you've used the Embed option. They can click the blue hyperlink to view the VoiceThread if you've used the Link option. You can also use the Link and Embed options inside discussion posts, or any other area of Learning Studio that allows you to insert links or HTML code. If you wish to send students an email with the VoiceThread, you will need to use the Link option, since the email tool doesn't support HTML. The link that you send will not be clickable. Students will need to copy and paste it into a new Internet browser tab. I am going to send my students a link to my VoiceThread now, in case they missed my announcement. First, I click the email tool at the top. Then, I click the New Message option on the left. I select the recipients for my message. I type a brief but descriptive subject line for my message. I type some explanatory text to provide explicit instructions for students so that they know what to do with my VoiceThread. I insert a blank line after my text. Now I switch back to my document containing the link and embed codes that I copied earlier, and I select the entire link and copy it by pressing Ctrl-C or Command-C on my keyboard. I switch back to my message, place my cursor on the blank line, and paste the link by pressing Ctrl-V or Command-V on my keyboard. Now my message is ready to send. To conclude, I want us to think again about how the discussion board tool compares with the VoiceThread tool. Let's look at this quote from a study of using asynchronous tools for discussion. In terms of context, discussion boards are pretty much level with VoiceThread. Both use topics in the course to get students reflecting and reacting. However, with the other two criteria, functionality and social setting, VoiceThread greatly outshines the discussion board. Its ability to accept multimodal comments and visuals, and the organization of learner avatars in relation to the content and each other, greatly increases VoiceThread's usefulness in our courses. The Faculty Development and Enrichment folks have set up a VoiceThread resources site with printables and how-to videos to help you use this new tool. And since they value your time, they've even included a section of links to sources for images that you can quickly filter and add to your VoiceThread assignments. Thanks for joining me as we explore using collaborative, engaging tools in our St. Leo University classrooms. Happy VoiceThreading!